Hello everyone, this is Vivek Anand, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, Tirthankar Mahavir West. We are again here to discuss some important aspect of the subject audit. Let me start. Cost audit. Cost audit. In this segment of auditing, we will discuss the meaning, definition, features, objectives, applicability of cost audit, circumstances when cost audit may be desirable, classification of cost audit, advantages and disadvantages of cost audit. What is the exact process for doing cost audit? We will also discuss about the difference between cost audit and financial audit, the scope of audit, cost auditor, his appointment, his power and duties, and content of audit. So let me start with the meaning and definition of audit. It is an audit process for verifying the cost of manufacture or production of any article on the basis of accounts as regards utilization of material, labor, other items of cost. Cost of manufacture or cost of production includes various elements of the cost, that is material, labor and overhead, and accounts regarding the material, labor and overhead are maintained by the manufacturing concern. So in simple way, the term cost audit means a systematic and accurate verification of the cost accounts and records and examining or checking of adherence to the objective of the cost accounting. As per ICWA London, Institute of Cost and Works Accountants, London, cost audit is the verification. Verification means examination, means the data contained in the books of accounts of a manufacturing concern should be checked, should be compared by the evidence. So this is verification. Again, cost audit is the verification of correctness of cost accounts and of the adherence to the cost accounting plan. So what about cost accounting? As per the ICW London, it means the checking or examination of the reliableness of the books of accounts maintained by a business concern, as well as the compliance with the cost accounting plan. In this way, we can understand about the cost audit. The Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India also define the cost audit. As per ICWAI, system of audit introduced by Government of India for the purpose of review, examination and appraisal of the cost accounting records and attendant information required to be maintained by specified industries. So cost audit is all about the maintaining the records regarding the elements of cost and also checking the compliance or following of the policies for maintaining cost records. From both the definition, we can analyze that cost audit is a systematic examination of cost accounts for the purpose of verification of correctness of cost accounting records and policies. With the help of this meaning and definition, we can finally go for the exactness about the meaning of the cost audit. We can simply say that cost audit is a systematic examination of books of accounts maintained by a manufacturing concern or an entity that is indulged in the activities of production of a product. To check the correctness of the data regarding the elements of the cost and compliance of the policies that is compulsory to follow for the maintaining costing records. This is all about the meaning of cost audit. Let me discuss the features of cost audit on the basis of a definition and meaning. First, compliance by the company with the cost accounting record rules. Cost accounting record rules are required to maintain the books of accounts for cost elements. The books and records maintained by the company are in conformity or compliance with the cost accounting standards and generally accepted cost accounting standards. Means in cost audit, it will be checked that the books of accounts of a manufacturing concern will be in accordance with the CAS and CAC-APS. System of internal control. Audit cost records exist in the company. The cost audit also identified whether the system of internal audit is existing in the company or not. Company keeps detailed unit-wise and product activity-wise cost statement. In cost audit, evaluation of the operating and other efficiency of the organization was done. And finally, this is the main feature of cost audit, that submission of cost audit report. So whether comply with the cost accounting rules, cost accounting standards, existing internal audit section in company, detailed unit-wise cost statements, evaluation of operating and other efficiency of the organization, or submission of the cost audit report are the features of a cost audit. Let me discuss about the objective of cost audit. First is verifying the accuracy of the cost data. The cost auditor examines or checks a company's cost accounts and records to ensure that the operated cost data is accurate, reliable, and free from material misstatements. Second, enhancing cost control. It helps a company identify areas where it can improve its cost control process. Therefore, it results in cost saving and improved profitability. On the basis of examination done by the cost auditor of books of accounts maintained by the business concern, the auditor can enable himself to impart the knowledge about the costing system of the business concern, and he may go for the cost control by identifying areas where improvement may be done. Next is identifying inefficiencies. Cost audit helps identifying areas where a company may be incur unnecessary cost or where it can improve its production process to reduce cost. So, with the help of cost audit, cost auditor identify the operational area of the business concern where the operations are in a strong position and where the operations are in weak position. For weak position, improvement may be there. Next is improvement. To check up the general working of the costing department of the organization and to make suggestions for improvement. With the help of cost audit and cost auditor, communicate the areas for improvement in the costing department of our organization to the owners of the organization. Ensuring compliance with regulations. A company complies with relevant regulations and guidelines, such as those laid down by government agencies or professional bodies. So, applicable rules and regulations, laws, standards should be checked by the auditor whether they are following by the business concern or not. Decision making. Actually, positive or beneficial decisions always depends on the accurate and reliable data. Cost audit gives management a better understanding of the company's cost structure and helps them make more informed decisions about cost related matters. And audited books of accounts of cost department generate reliable and accurate data. So decision taken by the management on the accurate or reliable data will very much fruitful or positive for the future or progress of the organization. So verifying the accuracy of the cost data, enhancing cost control, identifying inefficiencies of the costing department, improvement in the organization's operational activities, ensuring compliance with regulations, and generating accurate and reliable data for decision making towards the management are the main objectives of cost audit. Let me discuss the applicability of cost audit. Cost audit actually applies to every company that including a foreign company that is indulging or engaged in the production of goods or the provisions of services specified in Table A or Table B of the Companies Rules 2014. Table A covers the companies in the regulated sectors such as electricity, petroleum, drugs, fertilizers, sugar, and other. Table B covers the companies in the non-regulated sectors such as automobiles, cement, steel, paper, textile, and many other more. So, for the purpose of applicability of cost audit, the Table A and Table B is very much concerned. And Companies Rules 2014 should be checked. The applicability of cost audit is based on the following criteria. First, the overall annual turnover. The overall annual turnover of the company from all its products and services during the immediately preceding financial year should be rupees 50 crore or more for the companies in the regulated sectors. Regulated sectors companies means provided under Table A, and rupees 100 crore for the companies in the non-regulated sectors. Companies of the non-regulated sectors means the companies provided in Table B. Second, the aggregate turnover of the individual product or products or services or service for which cost record are required to be maintained should be rupees 25 crore or more for the companies in the regulated sectors and rupees 35 crore or more for the companies in the non-regulated sectors. So, applicability of cost audit is based on the overall annual turnover and aggregate turnover of the individual project. If we talk about the overall turnover of the company, then as per Table A, regulated sectors rupees 100 crore or more. And for the companies of non-regulated sectors are again a criteria. So, if we talk about the overall annual turnover of the company from all its products and services during immediately preceding financial year, the overall annual turnover If we maintain a segregation between the base of applicability, then we find that first is related to the overall annual turnover of the company from all its products and services during the immediately preceding financial year, and second is the aggregate turnover of the individual product of or services for which cost records are required to be maintained. So here the limit rupees 50 crore for regulated sector companies, that is table A, and 100 crore rupees or more for the non-regulated sector, that is companies of table B. And here the rupees 25 crore or more for the regulated sector companies, that is table A, and rupees 35 crore or more for the non-regulated sectors companies, that is table B. So if the company satisfied both the criteria, then it has to get its cost record audited by a cost auditor. If the company does not satisfy either of the criteria, then it does not have to get its cost records audited. However, the company still has to maintain the cost records as per the rules. So the applicability of cost audit is for a class of companies on the basis of turnover, whether collectively of the company or individual product. Now, some circumstances or situations are there under which cost audit is desirable. The first is price fixation. In any manufacturing concern or production companies, they are very much eager to fix the price for the same. For this purpose, the management required the exact cost of production, and cost of production is provide the contribution of various elements of the cost, that is material, labor and overhead. But whether they are accurate or reliable, it is only verified after the cost audit. So audited books of accounts of a manufacturing concern can provide the reliable and accurate manufacturing or costing data, so that a production company or a organization can fix their price by including a margin portion. Cost variation within the industry. Suppose there are various organizations for the same product in the industry. So how they can differentiate between the cost of production between them, because all are producing same product. So to find out exact cost of production or accurate and reliable data regarding the cost of production, organization is required to get his accounted auditor, because audited books of accounts provide the reliable data. Inefficient management. Suppose a business is running production process but not going with a proper or huge earning in their production. So there is a question mark on the management. Again, we find the necessity of cost audit. With the help of cost audit, it will be identified that whether management are functioning in an effective way or not. Because management is responsible for all the activities of a business concern, and if the operations are in inefficient manner, then management will be responsible. So to identify the inefficiency of the management for the operational area of the business concern that is indulged in the production process or manufacturing process, cost audit is again required. Tax assessment. To find out the exact portion of margin and tax calculation on that, reliable data may be required. So for tax assessment, again a manufacturing concern want to identify the exact cost of production, then margin and the sale value. So cost audit fulfill this requirement by verification of the various element contribution to the total cost, that is material, labor and overheads. Trade disputes. Audited books of accounts will be taken as a evidence or future reference if any trade disputes are there, because books of accounts are audited, so they provide reliability, effectiveness and positiveness towards the data maintained by the business concern. So all these are situations extra with the applicability of cost audit, where audit can be required in terms of cost audit. These are the situations, circumstances where management go for a cost audit option. Now we talk the advantages or benefits of cost audit. There are 4 categories in which we are going to read the advantage of cost audit. First is advantages to the management. Second is advantages to the shareholders. Third is advantages to the society, and the fourth is advantages to the government. Let me discuss one by one. First is advantages of cost audit to the management. Management gets reliable data for its day-to-day operations like price fixation, control of cost, decision making, budgetary decisions, etc. So, if management will take a decision on the reliable and accurate and effective data, then the decision will be a fruitful. So, to provide the accurate or efficient or effective or reliable data, the cost audit is very much important for the side of management. A proper reporting system to management will closely monitor all wastage. With the help of cost audit, management can find that what is exact output of the input of material, labor and overhead, and if there is a difference between the input and output beyond the limit, then the wastage should be identified by the management, which is very important to make the production process effective. Inefficiency in the company's working will be brought to light to facilitate corrective action. With the help of cost audit, management can find out that what inefficiency is existing in the production process of the company, and after the identification, the management can take the corrective measures to prevent from the inefficiency in the production process or to make the production process effective. Management may, by exception, becomes possible through allocating responsibilities to individual managers. Only cost audit provide the exact work devotion to the management. So, management by exception becomes possible with the help of cost audit, because cost audit provide the data that which type of individual manager are involved in which type of responsibility and what type of responsibility will be allocated to the manager as per the qualification or experience of that particular area. The budgetary control and standard costing system will be greatly facilitated. Budgetary control and standard costing will take help with the audited books of accounts of a manufacturing concern. If the management is going to prepare a budget, if management is going to compare the cost with the help of standard or actual cost, then reliable data may be there. And for the purpose of budget, for the purpose of comparison between the standard and actual costing, the data is reliable only when the books of accounts are audited. Sixth point, a company can establish a reliable check on the valuation of closing stock and work in progress. But how can we come on this stage? Only with the help of reliable data. If management find that there is a requirement to value the closing stock on the exact position of the business affairs and what is exactly work in progress, then audited books of accounts will provide a great help regarding the valuation of closing stock and work in progress. Seventh point, audited books of accounts means auditor check the books of accounts, and if any fraud or error was there, then in the audit process they can highlight it or identified by the auditor. So error and fraud free books of accounts is a great outcome of a business concerns management. So in various ways, management get the advantages or benefits from the cost and make their operations effective, make their costing data reliable, and make their decision making fruitful for the future. Next, advantages of cost audit to shareholder. These are very simple. Actually, shareholders are always concerning about their return, and cost audit also contributing in this area. Cost audit ensure that proper records are kept regarding purchase and utilization of materials, labor force, expenses, whether they are direct or indirect. It also ensures that the valuation of closing stock and work in progress is in fair manner. So companies can ensure their shareholders for a fair investment return also. In this way, the cost audit is also beneficial to the shareholder. Now, advantages of cost audit to the society. Price fixing often involves this method. So, according to audit cost data, fixing price protects consumers from exploitation. Without proper ascertaining of cost of production, a production house can go for the extra fixing of sale price. That will be harmful to the society. Some industries do not allow price increase without proper justification, such as increased production costs. Limiting price hikes will reduce inflation and maintain consumer living standards. So, main concerning of the society from the product, that is cost or purchasing price, and to make the proper judgment with fixation of purchase price, a manufacturing concern have to be go the audit process for their books of accounts. Now, advantages to government by cost audit. In various ways, government concerns with the cost audit. When government enters a cost plus contract, a cost audit helps the government reasonably fix the contract price. A reasonable contract price government can fix on the basis of data available of a business concern regarding the cost of production. Then it will be more easy for the government to enter in a cost plus contract. It fixes the ceiling prices of essential commodities, and so undue profiteering is checked. For example, regarding the price fixation of drugs, alcohol, and some other essential productions for the public. This allows the government to focus on inefficient units. With the help of audited books of accounts of a production house or manufacturing concern, government can identify that what type of business are inefficient and what type of business are strong. For inefficient units, government can take improvement measurements or may go for the shutdown of these units. Fourth point, cost audit enables the government to decide in favor of protecting certain industries. As in the previous third point, we have discussed that the government will be capable on the basis of audited books of accounts that with what type of units are inefficient. Then government can take improved measure and protect these industries which are inefficient. Consequent management action can create healthy competition among the various units in the industry. This imposes an automatic check on inflation. Automatic check on inflation. Next, cost audit helps the settlement of trade disputes brought to the government. Just we have discussed this type of point in case of advantages of cost audit to management. When a dispute is there, then audited books of accounts or audited books of accounts data may be helpful. Same here, it facilitates the settlement of trade disputes brought to the government. Means if there are some dispute, then government can take the audited books of accounts as they provide the level and effective and accuracy in the data. So with the help of these data, government can take reference and settle the trade disputes. So advantages of cost audit are in various categories, as we discussed, like advantages to management, advantages to shareholders, advantages to the society and the government also. But this is the natural phenomenon that if advantages is there, then some disadvantages may be there. Same in the case of cost audit, some advantages, some disadvantages is also there. Let me discuss. Disadvantage of cost audit can provide in the following categories. First is cost, then complexity, resistance from management, difficulty detecting fraud, limited scope, reliance on the historical data, etc. Let me discuss one by one. These are the major disadvantages. First is cost. Conducting or organizing or arranging a cost audit can be costly and time consuming. This process requires the engagement of a specialized auditor who may charge high fee for their services. Straightforward for the small manufacturing concern or production process, the cost audit is not practically feasible. It consumes a high cost, even taken time. So, this is the drawback of cost audit, cost and time. Next is complexity. Cost audit involves a detailed examination of companies' cost accounts, costing records, which can be complex and require high expertise. Actually, cost accounting is not an easy subject. Cost accounting is not a process to record business transaction regarding the cost of production in an easy way. Cost accounting required knowledge, compliance with the provisions and laws prevalent in the industry and related to the particular business concern. So, there is a requirement of high expertise for cost accounting and cost audit. So, complexity is a next drawback of cost audit. Third is resistance from management. Companies may view cost audit as an institution into their operations and resist the audit process. This can lead to a lack of cooperation for management and a less effective audit process. It is very simple. When an audit is going in a business concern, then the routine work may be in the hurdle for some time or for a big time. It depends on the outcomes or observations of the auditor. But audit process somewhere provide a resistance to the management working or operations of the business concern. Next, difficulty detecting fraud. A cost audit is not suitable for detecting fraud. Therefore, it can be difficult for auditors to identify fraudulent activities, especially if they are well conceived. Cost audit is mainly arranged for the checking or ascertaining the exact cost of production per unit or at a whole. But to find out fraud and error in this process is not easy until the auditor comes with a suspicious mind. So, difficulty in detecting fraud is there in cost audit. Limited scope. The cost audit only focuses the cost aspect of a company operation and does not include or provide a comprehensive view of its financial performance. So this is a big lack of cost audit, that it is concerning only the costing or production aspect of a business concern, which is involved in providing production process or providing a service. Reliance on historical data. A cost audit is based on historical cost data. It does not consider future trends or market conditions that may affect the cost of product or services. So this is again a drawback for cost audit. So if we talk about the disadvantage of cost audit, then we should take the cost involved in the cost audit, time taken by the cost audit, complexity in the process of cost audit, resistance from the management being the cost audit provide a hurdle to the routine operation, and it is not exactly, we can say that after the cost audit, frauds and error may be at the zero level. Limited scope, because cost audit not involve any type of other information except costing aspect, and it is also depends on the historical data, not concerning with the future trend or market conditions. So these are the disadvantages or drawbacks of the cost audit. In the advantage of cost audit, we are concerning that difficulty detecting fraud. So it imparts us that cost audit process not a easy process. So now let me discuss the process of cost audit. The aspects of the cost audit process involve various steps that may vary depending on the specific requirement and scope of the audit. But in general overview, we can consider the following steps for a cost audit. The first is planning and scoping. First is planning and scoping. In planning and scoping step or area, we discuss it as the initial step of the cost audit process. The auditor devises a plan and determines the scope, that up to which limit he cover the area for audit purpose. It involves defining the boundaries of the audit, identifying the precise zones to be audited, and formulating the audit objectives. Audit objectives are always depends on the nature and size of the production concern. Moreover, the auditor will also evaluate the company's internal control system to validate its adequacy for meeting the audit requirement. Actually, internal control system contributing towards the generating data, whether data are accurate, timely, effective, or reliable. In the next step, that is data collection. As name suggests, the subsequent course of action involves the accumulating of data, gathering the data, collection of data. This includes procuring information from various sources of the organization, such as financial statements, invoices, vouchers, and other documentation about the corporation's operation. Additionally, the auditor will initiate discussion with the relevant staff, better to comprehend the company's proceedings and cost configuration. In this step, all the data required for the purpose of doing cost audit will be collected by the audit, and just initial starting of the audit by the planning and scoping, the data collection is the next step, and this is the base of a cost audit. Without data, no auditor can go for the auditing process. From where you can gather the data? Prime facie financial statement, records, or books of accounts of the business concern, invoices, documents, registers, statements, and other books of accounts that is prepared by the manufacturing concern. But to get the better information or to make the information reliable, the auditor can go with the discussion or interviews with the relevant personnel of the business concern. Next step is analysis and evaluation. The data generated or gathered in the second step will be analyzed and evaluated by the cost auditor in this step. After accumulating the necessary data, the auditor assesses and appraises it. The process involves examining the comparative actual and budgeted cost. With the help of comparison, identifying area characterized by excessive cost and comprehensive evaluation of the efficiency and effectiveness of the operational activities undertaken by the organization. With the help of comparison between the budgeted cost and actual cost, if the auditor finds a big difference, then he have to identify the reason behind it and should be communicated to the owner of the business or the management for the corrective measures. With the help of analysis and evaluation of data, auditor can get a comprehensive evaluation regarding the effective or efficient working of the operations of the business concern, and it will help greatly in the audit process, because the auditor will go with his opinion on the basis of data analyzed or data evaluated in this process. The next is reporting. Actually, the main or ultimate stage in the process of analyzing expenses is reporting. Or reporting is the end product of the audit process. At reporting point, the auditor generates a comprehensive summary that provide the findings from the examination of the books of accounts of a production concern. Along with the summary, there are accompanying recommendations that can be employed to improve the company's functions and decrease overall expenses. This report is presented to the establishment's management and other parties with a vested interest in the matter. So, in reporting section, auditor provide his opinion regarding the data analyzed and evaluated by him in the audit process, and he straightforward give his opinion regarding the true and fair view of the costing record and costing data of the production concern. And reporting is very much important. Without reporting or without the written information communicate to the management or owner of the business in form of reporting section, the purpose of auditing is defeated. So, reporting should be there by the auditor in the last step or end product of auditing process. So, in summary, process of cost audit can be identified with the help of 4 steps. First is planning and scoping. Second is data collection. Third is analysis and evaluation of data accumulated in the second process. And the last one is reporting. Means overall opinion of the auditor regarding the result by analyzing and evaluating the data of a production concern, and it should be communicated to the management or owner of the business. Now, let me talk about the difference between cost audit and financial audit. Cost means the cost of production. Financial means profit and loss. Straightforward profit and loss. Let me discuss on the basis of differences. First is meaning. Cost audit is independent examination of correctness or compliance with the cost accounting plan. Whereas financial audit is a systematic, unbiased examination of a company or institution's finance books and records so as to express the opinion on it. That difference what is? In cost audit, independent examination. In financial audit is also independent examination, but the financial audit is restricted towards the financial books and records to make the opinion. And in case of cost audit, the auditor is concerned with the costing data only, costing records only, cost accounting only. Audit. Next point, audit. In case of cost audit, it is performed by a practicing cost accounting. Then what about financial audit? Financial audit will be performed by a practicing chartered accountant. Third, appointment of auditor. Let me discuss some extra for point number 2. Practicing cost accountant. Cost audit will be done by cost accountant and also by the chartered accountant. But in case of financial audit is only done by a chartered accountant. A cost accountant is not allowed to do the financial audit. Third point, appointment of auditor. The cost auditor will always be appointed by the board of directors. And in case of financial audit, the auditor will always be the whole sole authority of shareholders. Next is analysis. In case of cost audit, cost records, cost statements, and cost accounts are analyzed by the cost auditor. Whereas in case of financial audit, financial statements, books of accounts, documents, vouchers, bill book, inventory registers, and other registers or statements which are included in the books of accounts of a business concern are analyzed by the auditor. Importance or emphasize area. In case of cost audit, analysis of the efficiency of operations and propriety of actions of the management is done. Whereas in case of financial audit, compliance with the accounting standards, prevailing laws in the industry related to the business concern, and effectiveness of the internal control system are analyzed. Internal control system analysis is very much important to make the degree of risk assessment, because it provides a great assistance towards the auditor. Next point, compulsion. Cost audit is compulsory for the companies which are in table A and B of Companies Rule 2014 as non-regulated companies and regulated companies with the criteria of turnover. Whereas in case of financial audit, compulsory for the companies engaged in the manufacturing business. Now, report submission. In case of cost audit, so for report submission, in the case of cost audit, the cost audit report will be submitted to the board of directors and the board at the board meeting, which is then submitted to the central government as per the requirement. And in case of financial audit, the audit report will be submitted to the shareholders at the annual general meeting of the company. Actually, the actual owner of company is shareholder. So they are very much concerned about the progress of the business, and financial audit report will be submitted to the shareholders in a general meeting. And what about the just we have talking about the compulsion for the companies engaged in the manufacturing concern for cost audit. Means cost audit is compulsory, but only for those business concerns that are indulged in the manufacturing or production process. But in case of financial audit, it is very much compulsory by the law for the companies. It is as called as compulsory audit for companies, whether they are suffering loss, earning profit, involved in any type of activities, whether manufacturing, trading, or service. So there are massive difference between the cost audit and financial audit in terms of meaning, audit, appointment of auditor, analysis of record, emphasize or gray area of the records, compulsion of the arrangement of audit or get audited books of accounts, and the report submission. So the difference between the cost audit and financial audit cannot be ignored. There may be other ways to make the difference between cost audit and financial audit, but these are the major areas on which basis we can differentiate between cost and financial audit. Financial audit is always be done by a chartered accountant. This is called as a external audit and external auditor. The auditor is always appointed by the straightforward shareholders. C and AZ is also there in the picture of appointment of auditor, but if straightforward we differentiate as appointing authority, then shareholder in case of financial audit and the board of director in case of cost audit. And the major area of difference is audit performed. Here we can establish a pillar difference between the cost audit and financial audit. What is that? That is the nature of auditor. Means cost accountant is allowed to do cost audit only. Cost audit accounting means practicing cost accounting. He cannot be allowed to do the financial audit, because financial audit is always be performed by a practicing chartered accountant. Yes, a chartered accountant is allowed to do the cost audit also, but cost audit is restricted to do the cost audit only. Cost auditor is restricted to do the cost audit only. So today we discuss various topics regarding the cost audit as meaning, definitions, features, objectivity, applicability of cost audit, circumstances when cost audit is desirable. We have discussed various types of audit and also advantages and disadvantages of the cost audit. Process of cost audit involve various types of steps. Now let me discuss some important other aspect of cost audit. That may be the scope of cost audit, elements regarding the cost auditor, and the final product of cost audit process, that is reporting or audit report of cost accounts or content of cost audit report. So let me discuss scope of cost audit. The scope of cost audit has two important aspects. First is proprietary audit, second is efficiency audit. Proprietary audit. This aspect of a cost audit is related with the actions and plans of management that affect the finance and expenditure of the business concern. In this aspect, the cost auditor is required to ensure that an item of expenditure is authorized or approved by the proper signature authority. It is done with the help of documents and vouchers. In addition, the cost auditor must ensure that the item of expenditure is proper and reasonable on the grounds of propriety. How? The cost auditor has to report whether or not the planned expenditure can yield optimal results, whether or not the size or channels of investment were designed to produce the best results, whether the return on investment in certain channels could be improved by another plan of action. This is proprietary audit. The scope of propriety is round is moving about the expenditure and optimal result, investment designed to produce best results, or some another plan of return on investment. Now, efficiency aspect. Efficiency aspect of cost audit focuses on performance evaluation. In particular, it includes the verification of facts. Verification of facts means that the expenditure has been incurred according to the plan and the results obtained have also been produced according to the plan. Means all the working is going as per the plan set. The efficiency aspect of a cost audit involves checking or examining the plan prepared in the form of budget, whether it is financial budget or functional budget, and comparison of the actual performance with the budgeted performance. And if auditor finds any differences, any variance between the budgeted and actual performance, then the reasons behind the variance will also be analyzed. In this way, efficiency aspect of cost audit ensures that every amount invested in capital or other area yielding the optimal return. Investment in different spheres of the business is balanced to yield the optimum result. Therefore, the cost auditor plays a role both of a consultant and a financial advisor in terms of plan for the investment on return. Cost auditor assists the chief executive of the business in judging the soundness of the financial plans and performance by coordinating the results of action of various department leaders. So this is all about the scope of cost audit in terms of proprietary audit and in terms of efficiency audit. Okay. Now, next topic is cost auditor. First, we will discuss about the appointment of cost auditor. According to section 148 subsection 3 of Companies Act 2013, cost audits shall be conducted by cost accountant in practice who shall be appointed by the board on such remuneration as determined by the members in such a manner as may be prescribed. So the cost auditor is appointed by the board of director, and the remuneration will also be discussed or ascertained or set by the members. No person appointed under section 139 as an auditor of the company shall be appointed for conducting the audit of cost records. Rule 14 of Companies Rules 2014. For purpose of section 148 subsection 3, in case of companies which are required to constitute audit committees, the board shall appoint a individual who is a cost accountant in practice or firm of cost accountant in practice as cost auditor on recommendation of audit committee, who shall also be recommended the remuneration of cost auditor. So audit committee concept is also followed for the cost auditor. The remuneration recommended by the audit committee shall be considered and approved by the board of director and ratified subsequently by shareholders. In case of other companies which are not required to constitute audit committee, means where the section 177 is not applied, the board shall appoint an individual who is a cost accountant in practice or a firm of cost accountant in practice as cost auditor, and remuneration of such cost auditor shall be ratified by shareholders subsequently. Means for the remuneration, the whole sole authority is shareholders after the board of director, or after the recommendation of audit committee, then board of director, then shareholder. The important area is that the cost auditor proposed to be appointed is required to give letter of consent to board of director of the company, and the company shall inform the cost auditor about his appointment, and the company file a notice of appointment with central government within a period of 30 days of the board meeting in which such appointment is made, or within a period of 180 days of the commencement of financial year, whichever is earlier, through electronic mode in form CRA2. When a cost auditor is appointed, he should be informed by the company, and information regarding the appointment of cost auditor base will also be forwarded by the company to the central government in the prescribed form and in the prescribed period. Casual vacancy. And casual vacancy in the office of cost auditor, whether due to resignation, death, removal, shall be filled by the board of director when within 30 days from the date of occurrence of such vacancy, and shall inform central government in the same form CRA2 within 30 days of appointment of cost auditor. Means whether the appointment of a regular cost auditor or at the time of casual vacancy, the information from the side of company should always be forwarded towards the central government with prescribed format and within the stipulated time provided by the or prescribed by the law. Now, what will be the qualification and disqualification of a cost auditor? Let me discuss. First, qualification for a cost auditor. Any person who is a practicing cost accountant as per the Cost and Works Accountants Act. Any person who is a practicing chartered accountant according to the Chartered Accountant Act 1949. Next, member of the Institute of Chartered Accountant. Next, fellow with 10 years of standing. All these four categories will provide the eligibility or qualifications to become a cost auditor. But disqualifications are also there. Let me talk. A person cannot be appointed who, according to Companies Act 1956, is not a competent cost auditor. Again, any person who is appointed as the auditor of a company cannot be appointed as the cost auditor of the same company. For example, if chartered accountant A appointed as the company auditor of a company ABC Limited, then he is not allowed to become a cost auditor in the same company, that is ABC Limited. Any person who becomes incompetent after their appointment as cost auditor should stop working in the role immediately. Means if a auditor is appointed, but after the appointed he is incompetent, then his appointment should stop with the immediate effect, and he will not be a cost auditor of the particular company. So these are the qualifications and disqualification of the cost auditor. Up in qualification for a cost auditor, second point, any person, we are just going to analyze the company auditor and cost auditor. A person who is a practicing chartered accountant according to the CA Act 1949, means if we analyze this qualification, then we find that a practicing chartered accountant in the means of CA Act 1949 is eligible to become a cost auditor. But in case of appointment of company auditor, a cost accountant is not be eligible to become a company auditor. This is the pillar difference between the cost auditor and company auditor. Even company auditor cannot be the cost auditor in the same company. So let me talk next topic for cost auditor, that is functions of the cost auditor. First point, the cost auditor is one who is responsible for the execution of cost auditing. Means the function of cost auditor is to do the cost auditing work. The functions of a cost auditor area is all about the auditing work. There are various steps in the auditing process, that is planning and deciding the scope, then collection of data for the purpose of cost auditing, then analysis and evaluation of that data that is gathered in the second step, and finally the reporting of audit report to the management or board of director as the case may be. Now second is make clear cost audit report with all the facts and data intact. It is under the working area of an auditor that he have to provide the clear audit report that is concerned to the cost audit, with inclusion of all the fact, all the data that has been interacted by the cost auditor in his cost audit work. Third, a cost auditor should make qualifiable reports. Qualifiable reports means if auditor during the audit work finds any data transaction, group of amount or data from which he is not satisfied regarding the true and fair presentation or accuracy or reliableness of that data, then he have to use the qualification in his report. Unless he has fully satisfied with the presentation of costing books of accounts, he cannot go for a clean or unqualified report, because identification of exact cost or proper cost of production is very much important for a manufacturing concern, because accurate and reliable data will be used by the management for the further decision making or making policies. Fourth point, helping the central government with a cost auditing report in case of an investigation. Actually, investigation is always be initiated or directed by the central government. So in case of an investigation, cost audit report contribute a lot. Next is cost auditor and financial auditor have a vital connection as he has to omit the drawbacks and wrong implementation. When an auditor is going to conduct a cost audit in a manufacturing concern, then he have to very much cooperative towards the financial auditor and financial audit also, because the main aim of the both the auditor is to omit the drawbacks and wrong implementations in the books of accounts of that particular business concern, whether in the costing area, whether in the specific financial. So to do the cost audit, making qualifiable reports, including all the data and facts interpreted by the auditor in his report, providing help with cost audit report in case of investigation initiated by the central government, or cooperation with the cost auditor are the main functions of the cost auditor. Cost audit report, the last product of the cost audit process. In the reporting segment of cost audit process, auditor provide his opinion regarding the books of accounts examined of a manufacturing concern. Let me talk about the contents of cost audit report. The important content of cost audit report is introduction area, methodology used by the cost auditor, cost structure analysis, recommendation to control the cost, checking the compliance with the prevailing law, financial analysis of costing records, providing conclusion, summary or recommendations from the side of auditor, and the attachments of important documents, records and costing financial statements. The first is introduction. Here is a brief overview of the audit scope and objectives provided by the cost auditor in his report. He have to clarify that up to what extent he access the books of account and for which objective he is doing the cost audit. With the full integrity and honesty, the cost auditor have to perform his cost audit assignment under the ambit or under the scope of cost audit set by the planning and scoping step of the audit process. Second is methodology. This part describes the audit approach and methods used to gather data. Methodology includes the types of books of accounts, name of books of accounts, area for which the cost audit has been done, even techniques of audit, approach of audit, scope of audit also included in this part, whether it is efficiency aspect or propriety aspect. Means all about the data gathered for the audit purpose by the cost auditor are mentioned here. Third is cost structure analysis. In this part, the auditor provides the analysis of the company's cost structure. Purpose is to identify areas for improvement. Actually, it is done by the cost auditor with the help of internal control system. First, he have to check whether the internal control system is existing in the manufacturing concern or not. If not existing, then we have to go with a deep and detailed checking for the analysis of cost structure. If in other hand he find that a internal control system is existing in the accounting system of manufacturing concern, then he have to analyze the working of that particular internal control system. If internal control system is going with a strong performance, then he may feel some relax and go with the test checking. But if he find that whole internal control system is existing but not providing the proper results, not going with the proper operations, then again he have to go with the deep and detailed checking to analyze the cost structure. Another hand, if he find that a part of internal control system is working strong and the another is weak, then for a strong area he can go with the test checking, but for the weaker areas he have to initiate the deep and detailed checking because the responsibility of total audit is on the shoulders of the auditor only. So to analyze the cost structure of the client production company, he have to go with the checking of internal control system first. Then he can analyze about the cost structure of the manufacturing concern. And even after then he may go for or suggest for an improvement. Next is cost control recommendations. Cost control recommendations. This provides recommendations for cost control measures to optimize the company's cost structure. As we discussed in the third point, cost structure analysis. After the analyzing the cost structure, if the auditor find some area or some space where he can initiate the cost control measures, then what is that area? That area is where the working process is not efficient. Means there may be some chances to control the cost. Then he have to analyze that particular area or particular activity of the manufacturing concern and use the cost control measures for the purpose of optimizing the cost structure of the manufacturing company or concern. Point 5, compliance assessment. As an important element of cost audit report, compliance assessment evaluates the company's compliance with relevant regulations and standards. In this area, the auditor comments that whether the books of accounts, whether the costing records and statements are in compliance with the prevailing laws that are related to the particular business concern in which the auditor is conducting the cost audit work, or the statement or costing records are as per the requirements of the costing standards. If both are in accordance with the standards and regulations, then auditor can conclude that compliance assessment is at a positive degree. Means the manufacturing concern properly following the relevant laws and standard applicable to that particular business concern. Next is financial analysis. This part of audit report provides a financial analysis of the company's performance and profitability related to the manufacturing aspect. How much the business is capable to use the elements of cost, that is material, labor, overhead. Are there a situation is existing, then the optimal use of material, optimum output of labor, and the proper use of direct or indirect expenses is there. If the cost of production is ascertaining perfectly, or the use of material, labor, and overhead are at optimal level, then result will be the profitability. So for the costing statements or records concerning to the finance section, the auditor provide a financial analysis of the company's performance and profitability. 7 point, conclusion and recommendations. This is the gray area of cost audit report. In this element, in this content, the auditor summarizes that the audit findings and provides recommendations for future improvement. As we discussed in the third element, that weaker and strong area will be identified by the cost auditor with the help of analysis of cost structure. And if any weakness is there, then as conclusion, cost auditor should include this as an important content in his audit report. And for this weaker area or weaker section of the cost structure of client firm, the auditor should provide recommendations for future improvement. Point number 8, annexes. This element or this content of cost audit report includes supporting data, supporting documents, supporting statements, supporting registers, bills, vouchers that enable the auditor to make his opinion on the audit work, on the cost audit work done by him of a manufacturing concern. Annexer or supporting data or documentation includes the records, copies, figures, or other information or inquiry gathered by the cost auditor during his cost audit assignment. This also includes the financial statement, cost accounting records, any type of data or bill or slips, vouchers concerning to the manufacturing concerns of the business. These may be as the evidence to support the auditor's opinion. Okay, so these are the main elements or contents of cost audit report that has to be maintained by an cost auditor while he is going to conduct an audit and providing an cost audit report. And with the discussion of content of cost audit report, we can conclude our this class regarding the cost audit and cost auditor. Any question is there? Well, okay, so for today it is okay. Thank you for listening patiently.